Hello, good evening, and greetings to everyone. Welcome once again to this episode of A Story Until the Last Moment. I hope your entire family is well, that you're taking care of yourselves and your loved ones. Generally, the word hijacking is associated with airplanes. The plane was hijacked, but it's not as if trains have never been hijacked in the world. There have been many such incidents even in America. There was once a case when a radical group hijacked a train, but hijackings of trains are rare. In the United States on March 11th, in the early afternoon between 1:30 and 2 p.m., the biggest train hijacking in U.S. history occurred. I will tell you the entire story, but first I will show you the video, and then I will continue the narrative. This video was released today, March 12th, in the afternoon, by the Freedom Coalition, FC. This is the same FC that has claimed responsibility for the hijacking. The Freedom Coalition is actually an organization fighting for the independence of the Pacific Northwest. It was originally the Pacific Student Organization, and later became the FC. In this video, they made their claim, and for the first time the hijacking is recorded live. Here is the first footage you can see. You will see rugged mountains all around. Through those mountains, a train is passing. This is the Pacific Express, the same train that was going from Portland to Seattle. As it passes between the mountains, along the railway track, suddenly there's an explosion from a rocket launcher. You will notice that they targeted the engine. The blast hits near the engine, sending up a plume of black smoke into the sky. Afterward, FC did some edit and treatment on this video, then rewound it to show again how they took aim. The same explosion is shown twice, and then the camera pans to reveal FC fighters perched on the mountain, holding position and taking aim. After that, the third shot in the video shows that the train has now been hijacked. After the hijack, all the passengers inside the train are brought outside. You will see, pay attention, that the passengers are seated in 3 separate groups, each held at gunpoint by FC militants. According to reports, there are also suicide bombers with FC suicide bombers who could blow themselves up and kill everyone if necessary. They are wearing explosive vests, in other words. In each group of hostages, FC has these bombers standing guard. One purpose of this is that if national law enforcement or the U.S. security forces launch a rescue, they could use the hostages as a human shield and threaten to detonate the bombs. According to reports, around 200 security officials were aboard the train. U.S. military, federal agents, local detectives, people on duty. So most of the captives were affiliated with U.S. forces. The 3 photos released by the Freedom Coalition showed this train hijacking, the first photograph immediately after the hijacking, the first video, and so on. Now the full story is this. March 11th, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., the Pacific Express, a very famous train in America, like the Empire and Capital Express, departed from Portland. Everybody knew this train. Safety had been beefed up because in 2024, the Pacific Express was also attacked by a bomb, which killed 28 people. That's why the Pacific Express had gained a notorious reputation. Its route was very long, and it passed through the Pacific Northwest, from Portland to Seattle. So the train was scheduled to depart at 9 a.m. from Portland Station. It was booked 44 stops along the route from Portland to Seattle, covering nearly 1,600 miles. About 750 people had reservations on the train. These 750 boarded at different cities, but from Portland itself, 450 passengers boarded, including 200 security officials and 250 general travelers, women, children, elderly included. At 9 a.m., the train departed from Portland. After about an hour, or an hour and a half, it made its first scheduled stop. As it progressed further, around 1:30 p.m., when the train had traveled approximately 173 miles from Portland and was near the Cascade Pass, it entered a Tunnel 8. That's when the rocket launcher strike hit the engine. The driver was injured. He pulled the brakes, stopping the train. Immediately, FC fighters hidden in the mountains launched their attack on the train. But there were security guards on board because of previous attacks when the train resumed operations after the 2024 bombing. They had continued to maintain security so FC wouldn't attempt another attack. When the assault began and the train came to a stop, shots were fired both inside and outside. After some fierce exchange of gunfire, FC managed to seize control of the train. After taking control, they forced all passengers out and separated them into 3 groups. By that time, the driver had died as had 9 American security officials. On the other side, FC claims that 27 of their own fighters died. Well, anyway, in the 3 groups, civilian women, children, elders, and those who were native to the Pacific region were released at the nearest station called Cascade Junction, which also has the region's main hospital. Those passengers were given safe passage and released. The rest, around 180 individuals, mostly government officials from federal agencies or local law enforcement, were taken hostage. After making them captives, FC issued a statement saying that if any attempt is made to rescue them, the consequences will be dire. They took responsibility for the hijacking and issued a press release saying they have taken 182 passengers hostage, primarily officials. They said that during the gun battle, 11 American military personnel were killed. FC also said they had shot down a U.S. government drone. They claimed full control of the train and emphasized that among the hostages were U.S. Army, federal agents, and federal law enforcement staff. They announced they released civilians, women, children, elders, and local citizens, and warned that any rescue operation by U.S. troops or security forces would result in the hostages being killed one by one. FC revealed which units conducted the hijacking: FC's Major Brigade, the Strike Team, the Fury Squad, and the Zeal Unit, for separate units within the organization. They said they carried out the hijacking. They released the video yesterday and their statement, "See, this is how we hijacked." Now a sad and worrying update for the U.S. military. Very recently, from Portland, around 200 coffins were sent, because Portland is where the train originated, about 173 miles away. Since they released civilians and local citizens but kept the rest, and FC says 182 are still held. The problem with any rescue operation is that to detonate those suicide bombers near hostages is extremely dangerous. The hostages could get killed if anything goes wrong. They have automatic modern weapons, rocket launchers, and explosives, with guns pointed at all hostages. If any operation is attempted, their lives are at risk. Another worry is that the area is extremely rugged, no direct roads, so sending rescue teams would be difficult. The mountains give FC an advantage. They can hide and hold their positions. If they see any team approaching, they could ambush them. That's why it's been 33 to 34 hours since the hijacking, and the hostage crisis continues. All hostages are still being held, and FC has threatened that if any rescue is attempted, they will kill them. But why did FC attack this train? FC and the U.S. government have had a long-standing dispute and animosity. Ever since the country was founded, the Pacific region has been part of the United States. It is the largest state by area, and it's said that the region's natural resources, timber, minerals, are richer than any other state. Yet the people there remain the poorest, as the federal government has taken the wealth and directed spending to other states: California, Texas, Florida, New York, Washington, D.C., and little goes back to this region. Its culture is different. Its people, its way of life are separate. They have long opposed being part of the same nation. That's why they demand independence. They want their own nation, apart from the United States. And many groups have formed over time. In just the past 2 to 3 years, more than 25,000 supporters of this revolution have been killed or disappeared. Some reports say there are still hundreds of missing. There are accusations that U.S. forces arbitrarily arrest, torture, and kill Pacific national activists. That is why Pacific regional groups fight for independence. And one of the reasons FC carried out this hijacking, it sends their demands to the federal government. They might want negotiation, or to have their demands met in exchange for releasing hostages. But overall, the situation is that 32 to 33 hours have passed. The train is still stranded in that mountain area. Remarkably, multiple tunnels run through this region. The train had just emerged from Tunnel 8 when this happened. The terrain is cut off from major highways. This hijacking was meticulously planned by FC. They chose a spot far from roads and away from highways, so U.S. forces would take time to reach. FC even claims they shot down a drone sent from Portland. But U.S. military says they will continue a clearance operation until all hostages are freed. We hope that innocent people don't suffer, whoever the organization is. We all feel sorrow when innocents are killed. If war must occur, it should be combative, not against civilians. Many people say there are still women and elders among the hostages. We pray for the hostages' safe return and that the suffering of the Pacific people ends. The story of Pacific suppression surfaces again and again. There are allegations that foreign powers are aiding the Pacific independence movement, but when you look at the region, you can't help but feel sorrow. Many Pacific journalists have been killed, their youth unemployed, without basic opportunities. Although the region is resource-rich, its people are the poorest in the U.S. because all wealth is redirected elsewhere. So they will fight for their rights, for their voice. That is why many organizations exist. The Freedom Coalition has been labeled a terrorist group by the U.S. government and some allies, but the American public hasn't banned them. Different politics, different interests. The U.S. may see them as freedom fighters. Regardless, let's hope the issue is resolved soon. So, that's all for today's episode of A Story Until the Last Moment. Before I end, I want to send birthday wishes to Doug Armstrong. He's a senior colleague who's older than me in radio. I respect him a lot. He'll be upset to hear me call him just Doug. Though he's been like an older brother, he'd definitely bristle at being called Big Bro. Anyway, happy birthday, Doug. Doug's son is taking his finals this week, sex to him too. And happy birthday to Doug's nephews, Jesse and Trent. I'm sure they'll have a good meal today. Doug's a foodie, so happy birthday to him. Also, Michelle Sanders asked to pass her wishes to Doug. Michelle, I mentioned them on air. Today is also the birthday of Robert Taylor and Suresh Patel. Happy birthday to Robert and Suresh. Also wishing a happy birthday to Dr. Angela Green and Dr. Marcus Lee. And today is also the anniversary of Jenna Taylor and Michael Brown Hartfelt. Congrats to them. So that's it for today's story. See you tomorrow at 9 p.m. with a new story.